Hello and welcome back to Crypto Saving Expert, the show where we discuss the latest cryptocurrency news and keep you updated in the world of Web3. Today, I'm very kindly joined by the master trader, BlockPro. BlockPro, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you. Thank you. How about you?
Yeah, good. I'm looking forward to this volatile week. I actually stepped away slightly over the weekend. I spoke to you off air. I know you were catching some of these movements, which we'll go over later as well. But yeah, what have you got in store for the week ahead? Does any of your standard procedures change when you've got a week like this week with tomorrow having the elections, etc.?
Not really. No, like I had quite some good discussions over the weekend, especially with of course, the elections, the big news or big news piece. But I don't really care. I did some comparison, especially if you look at last cycles, how it works with the halving and the elections is always the same stuff. So now again, if you put that all onto a chart, you can see, of course, some sort of historical price action. But my main point is still the same as always. I use the chart, I ignore the news, and
Yeah.
we go from there. But it will be a crazy week, my friend. It will be insane.
It's going to be fun. And guys, before we get further into this, before we go over to the trading analysis, we're going to continue looking at levels. We're going to go further into depth from our last stream last week. But first, we're going to have a look at the markets. But guys, make sure to like and subscribe. We're also going to cover the news very briefly today before we get stuck into it with BlockPro going through levels on Ethereum, guys. So let's have a quick look at the markets. Not much movement. Obviously, we are below 70,000 now with Bitcoin. From last week. Ethereum just below 2,500. Solana just above 160 at the moment. I actually expect a little bit lower on this, unfortunately. I'm stuck in a position on Solana, but I do expect a little bit lower, so maybe I should cancel that one out as well. We've got Dogecoin actually having a very nice day here, 7% up. Toncoin not doing too bad either. Let's have a look at the a few of the top gainers and losers as well. So we've got Zcash here as well. Notcoin also on Ton. Helium, Chili's, a few there. And let's have a look at the losers. We've got Portal, Huobi, Chainlink, Aave, and also Bitcoin SV. We've seen some of the Bitcoin forks do well recently. But let me know if you see any of your altcoins in those gainers or losers as well. Just pulling back to the general market here, BlockPro. What have you been trading over the weekend?
Oh man, I was shorting pretty much everything. The the Bitcoin short was so easy. Like it was so easy. It was at a clear backtest level. Entry was just sublime. The only
Yeah.
thing that surprised me was pretty much Friday afternoon. We saw the spike up again, and
Yeah.
that was for me something that really didn't make sense to actually see on the chart. But after that, it was just continuation of the downtrend. So I would just say basic liquidity grab. But over the weekend, what did I actually do? I shorted as many things I could actually see. My most profitable position was Grass USDT.
Yep.
It went up like, I believe it was like 250%, maybe even more than that in a couple of days. Got freshly released on MEXC, the places where most coins come to die. And that was, I did 140% gain on that.
Yeah.
I've also seen another trader that went with 425%. So that was the biggest one, where for the rest, like everything was just ready to short pretty much. And now waiting till we see some stable prices again.
And
Yeah.
are you currently in the trade?
Yes, I have at the moment 5 long positions open,
Nice.
all based on back tests, and all of them also have hit TP3 already. Stop losses are at the end of the setup, so I actually expect to be stopped out today, but at least the profits are secure, and that is what counts.
That's the
So
best.
yeah.
Awesome. And before we have a look at some of these charts, some of the positions, let's just fly over the news as well. Guys, make sure to like and subscribe, share this out as well before we get into the masterclass with BlockPro. Let's have a look at some of the news stories here. We'll just have a look at some of the headlines, perhaps click into a few of them here. We've got crypto market liquidations near 230 million as Bitcoin dips below 69,000 before US election. We've got the crypto AI con, where the biggest AI deals of 2024 take place. Let me just see the location of this event. This one's in Lisbon, coming up over the next few weeks. I believe our friends over at Luna Strategy behind that. So guys, if you're interested, if you're in Portugal, hit us up in the Discord. Let's have a look further down. We've also got an article here. Trump's 2024 election lead on crypto prediction markets surpassed traditional polls. We've got Russia's new cryptocurrency mining regulation, key framework and impact on the industry. And also some articles here, how to set up a Tron wallet, etc. guys. So go check that out on cryptosavingexpert.com. But let's head over to your screen, BlockPro. Let's have a look at the charts. Let's go through these levels. Let's continue the lesson from where we left off last week. And guys, if you haven't watched that as well, highly recommend go and catch that. It was called Trading 101. Watch it after this, perhaps. It was about an hour long. But yeah, let's head straight into it. I'll put your screen up here and we'll go through this.
Yes. So last week, we actually discussed how to level out a chart. The thing is, when it comes to my own trading strategy, I pretty much use 3 different ways when it comes to trading. Well, first of all, I use support and resistance trading. I also use the level system, but the most important of them all is the backtest. And before we get to that point, pretty much what I use the levels for is to actually make the chart look more like a place where you can go like, oh, I'm interested in this range to actually trade. So we can use levels on a very small time frame. We can use it all the way up to pretty much 30 minutes. That's where it pretty much ends. You can go lower, but then the backtest strategy becomes even better. So yeah, like I said last time, we actually started with leveling out Ethereum, and that looked when we were done with it, it looked like this. Yeah. So what we did from the, pretty much at the end of that session was that we looked at market structures. And with market structures, we're looking at important price levels where we actually want to retest a price that we had before. So when it comes to actually the patterns that we are looking out for, I also showed this last time, are simple drop-off points and gaining points. So this is what we can call a market structure. Fairly simple. We also have it the other way around, where you go up and price comes down. We also have it in a V shape, and we also have it the other way around. And they happen on all time frames. Doesn't matter if you look on the weekly, the 4-hour, daily, 30 minutes, 1 minute, on all time frames, it will happen. So if I now reset the chart, well, we can actually see right over here that entire pullback from the last cycle is just a simple retest of those higher prices. So last live stream we said pretty much the retest is on $3,194.44. That is where we want to see a retest of the price. Well, for the price action traders, it's too far away to be interested in. But for the investors, yeah, that is something where you might want to consider taking some profits or at least see how price reacts to that range. So with mapping out of all the lines on the chart, well, it gives us an overview on the weekly where we are, but you can also see the higher we get, the more the tighter the lines will be. Well, that also has to do with the average moving per day of an asset. So from here, we pretty much went to the 4 hours, and now you can actually see how the levels react to price action, and it breaks up. That's pretty much that's the only thing that it does. It breaks up, just constantly going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Now you can actually see where is the resistance, where is the support. Often, because that's a slight difference between the levels and support and resistance. So support and resistance is allowed to actually draw through a price action line. And with levels, we're only looking at the closure of a body. So we ignore the wicks, and in that case, we always go out from the lows, the worst case scenarios, pretty much. So you can already see that, especially when you get back from a giant pullback, how all those levels gets respected, and that means you can trade those levels, and you can also target the lowest point all the way up to the highest point, where you say, I'm going for a long position, and here is where I plan my exit. And then you don't even look at a market structure, pretty much. But if you combine it with a market structure, you can make the trade a lot bigger, of course. So it basically breaks up everything that you do. The nice thing is, when it comes to setting up these types of scenarios, and like I said, I'm now on a 4-hour time frame. This is, by the way, my main chart. So this is what I use to trade. When it comes to actually scenarios, we need to look at where are we going to open and close a candle. And I think the best way to actually write it out is pretty much to make an example out of it. And it's actually quite funny because I also did this the morning with a coaching session. So let's say we have 3 levels. In those levels, we have candlesticks that look like this. They're a little bit too big. Let's make it a bit smaller. Oh, is it still good on the screen? Yes.
Yeah, good, perfect.
So we just ignore price. Like whatever we do, we don't look at price. We don't give a shit. As long as it goes up and down, it's fine. We can make money out of it. So once I actually start to put in some candles, we can actually make a decision of when a certain price level is broken, or when we actually gain into a new price level. So I'm just going to grab a couple, Web3, and Ross, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions in a bit of when we actually have lost the level or have gained the level.
Okay, yeah, brilliant.
So it will be pretty much live coaching. But
let's do it.
So simple. Once you understand this system, it's just one of the best things to trade.
I just wanted to pull up this question from the chat as well. So Cryptomancer is asking, so how do we get these levels set up on our trading view? Just wanted to say, if you watch last week's stream as well, we went through it, setting up the levels. I'll let BlockPro answer this now as well, but basically starting on a longer time frame. Like I believe we started on the monthly, going to weekly, and that's how you keep going down the time frames. And that's how you get slightly more accurate. But yeah, BlockPro, how do you set these levels? Have I wrapped it up there for you? Is there anything else to add?
So you start, it doesn't really matter what assets you take. You start on the monthly. From the monthly, you're going to only look at the lowest point of body closure. So that means to actually set a level, and that's also where this example will come in a bit. I will answer this question first, is to, before you want to set a level from some sort, you actually want to take a look at where you have 2 candle, oh, that's the wrong button, where you actually have 2 candle closures next to each other. So in that case, candles always have wicks, like always, but we're just ignoring them. As soon as you spot on a monthly time frame 2 candles next to each other, you can say, okay, so we have a support down there. From that point, you go to the weekly, you're going to do exactly the same. Once you are done on the weekly, you're going to the daily, going to do exactly the same. Then, if you do your homework correctly, it should be fine. You should be golden. Last week, we went in this full detail, so I would say check that live stream out because we went over the specifics. But also this is also part of it, because we can throw multiple lines on the screen, but what do those lines actually do? So let me finish the example real quick. Is we have one range, a second range, and a third range in this case. Well, what is important? A level is only broken once a candle is fully closed above it. That is your only confirmation for a gain of a level. So, Ross, We got 3 levels. We got a bit of
Yep.
price action. All the candles are green, but we don't care. What I'm going to do is let me grab an arrow like this.
Yep.
And I'm just going to say one by one.
Mhm.
When we start here with our first candle, where
Yep.
are we trading? And let me set a start, by the way, because we're actually starting at 0. So we're starting here.
Yeah. So
with this first candle.
we're in 0 still.
Yes, correct. With the second one.
Now we're up to number 1.
Correct.
And
after
the
that,
next 2, yeah.
And after that,
Yeah,
still on 1.
Number 1. And then yes, we've closed above, so we're in number 2 now.
Yes, the next one.
We are still in number 2.
Yes, correct. So this is important when you're actually going to map out your levels. You need to make a decision. Does this belong with the level on top of it or the level below it? Otherwise, it will just get too many lines. This one right here.
Number 1.
Back to number 1. Then we get 3 candles here next to each other.
All in number 2. Yeah.
All in number 2. After that.
Yeah, number 3.
Right here. Correct. This one right here.
Still in number 3.
Yes, correct.
From now back down to 2.
Okay. Well, this one.
Still in number 2.
Still in number 2. It's an easy exercise, but once you understand it, it's a good one.
Yeah. Now in number 1.
Number 1.
And like the same with the that one also.
Number 1.
And then heading up to number 2, closed above. Still in number 2.
Very good.
And then the rest are now in number 3.
Yes, correct. So that is pretty much how simple the level system already works. Well, the nice thing is, once we have actually set out all those levels on the different time frames, and you can see on a daily, for example, that you need to make some decisions from time to time. Like, when does a range actually gets broken? And that's where you need to understand that you go from pretty much always in 3 phases. You go from accumulation to compression to expansion. So that means a breakout to the upside or the downside. We don't know. It's both sides is possible pretty much. So from here, we can already say we can calculate some or can make some scenarios. And this is also something that I post pretty much every day in the Crypto Saving Expert Discord, is just scenarios. Guys, if we lose this level, we're going to trade over there. That pretty much indicates take a long or take a short. It's pretty much how you want to look at it. So from here, let me put it back on the 4 hour. We can already say that, okay, we have some nice response to this first level. So, or with the lower level. So in that case, we're going to say if we bounce over here, we can go towards the upside again. Well, what do I also see to start with? I see a construction with a backtest lying over here. I have not confirmed it, but this is just what my eye sees from the start. Well, what I also can see, and in that case we need to zoom out a little bit, well, is we have, of course, some sort of an uptrend. We still have not broken that uptrend, but we are going close to it. So if we close actually below this line, well, we can expect that it comes down back to $2,224. So this complete level system gives you an indication of where price is trading. And you break it up. And that's the easiest thing. I tried so many different strategies, and this is just one of the easiest forms you can actually use. So
keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. Like, if people want to throw in 20 different RSIs and stuff like that, and I just go like, mate, it's just lines. It's just keep it simple. So for now, for today, for example, we can say, where are we trading? We are trading in this range. it's not the nicest arrow. Let me do it like this. We are trading in this range.
Yeah.
So we're also heading towards the low of that range. So a possibility of actually taking a long position towards a high is more likely because you buy at support and you sell at resistance. Of course, we also, this week is just a shitty example, to be honest, because the elections will not help with volatility, of course, but still there are chances on the market. So we might want
to
to
hear saying support and resistance are life.
Yeah, it's just the easiest strategy. Like if you're completely new to trading, buy at support, sell at resistance, take the bag, walk away, wait till the price is back at support, do it all over again.
Rinse and
If you
repeat.
keep repeating that process, you will make absolute shitloads of money. So we actually have now said from, okay, we have that point of interest where we actually want to trade. So that is this box right here. But there's also a lot of price action happening here, so in the middle. So what we can do, for example, is say, well, it's 6% for the complete range. So there are multiple opportunities. As a day trader, I target a percentage move of just 1%. On the 10x leverage, it's pretty much 10% on the ticker, but then it comes down to calculating your trading capital. So it doesn't really say anything, because often with a 1% move, you make in at least 1% risk versus 3% reward move. So you actually gain 3% on your capital, but the total movement of the ticker is 1%.
Yeah.
So if you look at 6% distance in the levels, that means there are pretty much 6 opportunities to take. Well, from here, we want to say, let's go towards a 30-minute time frame. Well, what do we see from the start? Well, here, market structure got perfectly retested. We also have it the other way around, right over here. So that is why I always say that the structures are pretty much key. Well, we might want to do something with this range where we actually are going to say, like, I want some more local levels. And that is where we need to make a decision. Are we going for backtest trading or are we going for level trading? And they are, with backtest, you pretty much try to get in on the wicks. That means that your entry, if you get your entry, is 9 out of 10 times outside of the liquidity zone. And what I say often to my students, if your trade is in the middle of a liquidity zone, your trade is shit. And some people say, like, no, I'm getting stop loss hunted. No, your stop loss is in the liquidity zone. And you actually want to be just under that range. So that is the downside of using the levels, because a lot of people actually see those levels. And with the backtest, a lot of people don't get it, how that one works. But I will leave the backtest out for another time. So when it comes to that level, what can we actually do? Well, we can take a horizontal ray, for example, and we're just going to do the same as what we did with mapping out the entire structure of the weekly and the daily levels. Well, what can we see? Well, price came down. Over here, it bounced a little bit. You can see a bit of accumulation, a bit of a pullback, went up again. Nice potential for a V-shaped scalp. Here again, here again. So now, if I move this one over here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to place my line right here. There is some interaction with this level. Well, in that case, we at least have said, okay, we have set some sort of a bottom for the current range on a smaller time frame. What I also can see is we have here the downtrend, and then you can see here pretty much the wick before price broke off. There's also interruption in this downtrend. That means there is a bit of buying pressure before continuation of the downtrend. So that is quite interesting, because if I go over it with my cursor, you can actually see that the same point is also resistance. Again, on a small time frame. So don't forget, the smaller you go in your time frame, the more difficult it becomes to trade. So if you're a beginner, stick to pretty much the 4 hour and learn there. Otherwise, you will just get flushed out by
Yeah, we've got a lot of questions in the comments now. Going, how do we draw these levels again? How do we know where to plot the levels? And guys, I would stress, go back on Crypto Saving Expert YouTube, 7 days. It's trading 101. Learn how to trade with BlockPro. We go in depth on how to plot these levels on a longer time frame, and then on the lower time frames as well, guys. So go check that video out after today's live stream. It will really help you position your levels there.
Yeah, an even better thing is signing up to Crypto Saving Expert and get a premium subscription and book a call with me, and I take all the time to actually learn it to use her.
Guys, if you want to have one-to-one tuition with Bro, make sure to join CSC Plus, the premium section. You can see here it's £200 a month, but there you get legal support, premium Discord access, the one-to-one trading coaching, and then you have access to private sales, weekly premium AMAs with myself, that Martini guy, and lots more, guys. So make sure to go check that out. But we will head back to your screen here and discuss these timeframes. We're on the 30-minute chart currently, correct?
Yes, correct. So how it is now structured, the green lines are the weekly levels, so weekly, daily, and the orange one are just obviously on the 30-minute. So what I now have actually done is I've made a support and a resistance. This also gives already the opportunity, let me adjust my line to green one, let's do it like this, is that we just can say, okay, if we actually close on this line, so the strategy remains the same, you need to have a candle closure, is you're going to wait for a bounce, and then we're going to retest that level above it. Once we actually get rejected there, then we are going to look for a short position.
Yeah.
So this is how you can set up so many different scenarios. So when I'm actually posting my charts in our Discord community, I look at the weekly levels, then the 30-minute levels. Now, I also suspect that there is much more here on the top. I think there's some range in the middle. It's not really information that I can get it from here. So what I can do, I can take it a bit to the left. And there, again, I can see some wicks, touching points, some body closures. See the break-off point. And I think we are going this time for a bit of a higher range. So it comes all down to actually making that decision of what belongs to the lower level and what belongs to the top level. I've been doing this for years, so I don't actually look at this anymore. I just see it. I don't need the line, but if you're starting out,
you see in horizontal lines now.
Yeah, so that makes it easier. Yeah. This is also a top tip. If you are ever in doubt of your level, copy the price. Then take your line, just throw it to the left. Keep throwing it to the left because price should have been reacting at that point. Paste it back on. Now you can see it's still pretty much, you have the same drop-off point. It's a resistance. Some fuckery over here. It broke out. It was a support. It was a resistance. It broke out again. Simplest form to actually confirm if it is something. So from here, now we have already broken up that 6% range. So what I will do, I will do it like this. Then you can see 6%. And instead of now, or like at first, we had pretty much one opportunity. That was to take a long position from the lows all the way up to the highs. But what if price doesn't get lower than this moment in time? Well, then we can consider a smaller trade, intraday trade that maybe will grow up to a swing position. How I like my positions the most is to start with a scalp.
Yeah.
That scalp turns into a day trade. And then when it turns from a day trade into a swing position, then you have the most small or like a super small setup that you can take with a lot of contract size, still run on 1% risk. And if you're aiming like with a scalp, like 1% movement, and the ticker walks away for 20%, you bank pretty much an 18 or 90x on your position. So instead of earning a couple of dollars, it just goes up and up and up. So from here, we can say, take that brush again. and we're going to look. Okay, if we get rejected, we're going to revisit that weekly level. The weekly level is so much more important than a 30-minute level. And the reason for that, it's on the weekly, so the time frame is much higher than the 30-minute. And pretty much, if we stay stable at this point right here, and we actually make a bounce on this level, we're going to say we're going for a long position towards the highs again. So in that case, you have a bullish scenario. Maybe we can get a continuation of the uptrend. Well, then again, you go for a new scenario. And you can see that all my drawings that I make are always like this. It's never one straight line. And the reason for that is you get liquidation, retest, breakout. So
yes, yeah.
that is
And
why
are you setting take profits at these levels? Are you waiting, watching the chart and making your decision, waiting for, the candle to perhaps, go above those levels? Or are you setting take profit levels there?
Yeah, so with take profit levels, it depends a bit on what type of trade it is. If I would enter pretty much my Ethereum trade at the moment is on this wick here on the lows because it was backtest entry. And what I actually have done is I have already taken 50% out of the trade because it's just on the top side before the breakoff occurred. So I try to you can use the level system to take your profits, but what is important to keep in mind is with the level systems, you work from minimum to minimum. So you always pretty much, or at least you're the last to be in the trade, but you're also the first one to get out of the trade.
Yeah.
Because you're only focusing pretty much on where the volume is the fattest. And with backtests, we are actually focusing on where do you get stuffed out.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that is the entry that I want. So that's a bit different.
Yeah.
You can use these local levels, for example, like if you let me zoom out a little bit. And we're going to smack in an I made this thing. We're going to make a long position from the lows all the way to the top. And in that case, you are aiming for quite a big position. We can also make that stop loss a lot bigger because if you have the chance to make your stop loss bigger, make your stop loss bigger. Otherwise, you're just getting stop loss hunted.
Yeah.
So how would go about with a trade like this, knowing with the levels that we actually have, is that I would say pretty much take profit number one. Oh, that's the one. And then I would say over here and take profit number two.
Yeah.
And that is just it. Taking profits is not a bad thing, especially not in the beginning, because you reduce the risk in your trade. And as a trader, you want to actually focus on risk management and not on profit making, because without risk management, you will make zero
There will
profit.
be no profit. Yeah.
So that would look something like this. So every time the price goes up, you're going to take a bit of profit. You can do 25%, 25, 25, 25, or you go for 10%, 10%, 20, 20, leave a bit open for potential runner. So there are different ways into looking at your take profit style. I always recommend to work with 3 take profit orders. Your first take profit will be 40%. Your second take profit will be another 40%. Then at TP number 3, you have the decision to take or 20 and close the position, or take 10 and leave 10 open. Yeah. Well, it doesn't really make sense if you're trading with $100 or $1,000 or with $10,000. But if you trade with basically fuck it money, then it becomes important, because the 10% can still be a nice 10x as long as the ticker actually continues
and what's
to the upside.
Process behind keeping it to free and 40%, then the final 20%? What's the thought process behind that?
Well, first of all, it starts with reducing risk. So the system that I use is pretty much foolproof. Because with 1 in 3, with at least 1% risk and 3% reward, I'm allowed to get stopped out 2 times in a row. But the third trade, I make a profit and I gain actually 1% over my losing trades. So that already indicates how fast an account can grow. Because if you are aiming for, I did this in a live stream the other day for the community members. It was pretty much inspired by TMG. He talked about 1%, and I said, like, okay, let's do a live stream about that. Let's talk how effective this actually is. And if you are a trader and you're going to target 1% a day, and you give yourself the room to actually get stopped out twice, so you're taking 3 trades a day, and you lose 2, you win 1, that's 1%. If you actually win all 3, of course, then it becomes mental pretty fast. So with 1 in 3, at least, you keep it simple. Like, you don't aim for the moon. Like, I've seen people that go but this trade is 1% risk versus 200% reward. Well, good luck to you, sir. Try to do that 20 times in a week. It's not going to happen. And then you're going to see crazy things like people adding margin, more leverage. And more leverage is, it doesn't really matter how much leverage you use, but it's usually in the risk where people fuck up. So, I also think with the nice thing, and this is also what I like about especially for more beginner traders, is let us zoom out a little bit. And what trading actually is, it comes down to being patient. If you want to learn to trade, well, we can make it go faster, that you understand the basics, but in the end, it's still up to the trader to put in the time and the effort to actually learn how to trade. If you don't have much money to actually start trading with, and let's say you have $10, well, I can say, with directly looking in the camera, you can trade $10 all the way up to $100,000. It is possible. You can do it in a very short time, even.
I think
with a simple system.
You did $10 up to was it 6,000 or even further? Was it recently?
Yeah, it was $10 all the way up to $12,688.
Crazy.
And then I deleted the account. So it's just repeating a process and stick to that simple progress. So if we look at those setups, because like I know what I'm doing clearly, especially when I trade on 3-minute or I'm scalping, I can take trade after trade after trade. I can scan multiple tickers. But if you are just starting out, and you see a structure where you go like, maybe I want to target that $3,459 level. Well, you can consider taking, again, no financial advice, you can consider taking a setup that is actually 1 in 3, like this, and see how big your stop loss is. Well, you might go and say like, but the distance is a lot. We can make so much money if we leverage the crap out of this position. It's 43%. Okay, but I can also take the same size position on a 3-minute chart, earn the same, risk the same. This is just all about being patient, waiting for price to come to your setup, and you actually bank the same. So a massive swing position over here. Well, we can also consider a somewhat longer, smaller time frame swing position. So let me move this one to the right. There we might want to say, we're going to take a long position. We're going to take it at the same entry. Again, no financial advice. And then we're going to target the level above it because we can see clear resistance. If I would make this setup 1 in 3, and I would trade this on $1,000 account. Come on, 1 in 3, make it precise. Almost. With this setup, with the big setup all the way up to 3,500, with $1,000 account, we're going to risk $10 when you get stopped out. But if you make a profit at the top, you earn $30. With this setup, yeah, it's a smaller setup, but still, I risk $10 on a $1,000 account to gain $30.
Yeah.
And we can also say, well, we also have that local level here, so we can consider pretty much a day trade, swing trade type thing, just trade that is open for a couple of days. Then we can say our take profit will be on the top of the level. Now let's make it 1 in 3. And what you can see now happening pretty much is those setups are becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. So if you are a beginner at trading, ask yourself, when do I get stop out? With what trade is the chance just the highest that you get stopped out with? Because with all the positions, you will lose $10 or gain $30. I can also make an example on the 3 minute, but then it will be a bit of a clusterfuck. But by sticking to those same rules time and time and time over again, it's hard to mess up. Also, like if you're going to start trading with, I always say to my students, like if you want to start trading seriously, start as small as possible. And then some people say like, yeah, I have 10,000 laying around. And I say, that's like, are you actually prepared to lose the 10K? Just start with $100 all the way up to $1,000. With $100, you're going to look at $1 loss per trade and a $3 gain when you actually win. That means that you can learn for years with that $100 account.
Yeah.
And if you actually are getting good,
learning the strategy and finding the confidence in the strategy, and then implying that with larger amounts later on. It's not so much, the amount is irrelevant. It's more learning the strategy and sticking to that there. And becoming a patient trader, like you said there. I've just got to pull up one of the questions from the chat. We've got Aqua Regis here. He's asking, are you using a VRPV to map out the backtest areas when zooming into the market structure you're aiming to place your trades in?
Yes, it's possible. I don't use the VRVP. I use the FRVP because then I can look at a local spot in the chart. That makes it more interesting, or at least more interesting. It just concentrates the price action better. I also think that you often do not even need an FRVP for it, because you can also look at pretty much at candle closure and pick the middle out of it. So, for example, if we took, let's look at a 50-minute chart. Let me move to Bitcoin, by the way, because I want to know the Bitcoin price. So we can see, for example, over here, I made this one today for a student to explain it. There you can actually see how that FRVP is set up. So again, you're going from compression, from accumulation to compression to breakout. Once that breakout has occurred, then you get a cool-off period where you go back into accumulation, compression, breakout. And we're targeting that FRVP between those ranges. So we don't want the volume of the pump. That means that your point of control will be your backtest. Well, if I actually have a student that nailed his entry right here for a scalp long position, well, that's absolutely fine. It's trading against the trend still, but he clearly knows what he is doing, or at least it looks like he knows what he is doing. And that is where you can say, if you can get in on a wick like this with just a simple scalp trade, you're pretty much, it's a trade of 50 minutes and you're out again. So I use the FRVP for it to actually confirm a level, but for that I need to be in doubt of where it is. So here on the top side, you can see again, so this part right here, it's just the center of the accumulation. Where is the test of the level? The level is actually below it. It's actually right here. So it's just a little bit different because with the back test, we're focusing on the liquidity. And with the levels, we are just trying to get in a bit later on a clear confirmation and get a bit out earlier, pretty much. I can show you my FTM trade. That was a backtest trade. Let me go over here. So you can see you get liquidation.
Yeah.
Then you get to retest 2 smooth candles next to each other. That was my entry. And my exit was actually based on a backtest level.
Yeah.
And then you can see you get out on the wick. You can also
Nice
short
wick
that same
yeah.
point again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's there are multiple ways in how to trade, pretty much.
We've got Cryptomancer here as well saying, are these trade setups available in your Discord as well? Yes, they are. I'll just share my screen quickly. In the Discord, BlockPro even has his own section for chart setups, guys, as well. But there's also lots of other amazing traders with him there that also put up their own trading setups and open up for discussion on, why they've decided to take that trade, why they've charted it like that as well. So, guys, check out the link in the description for CSC Plus. Join today. Like we say, we've got a big month ahead, so there's no time like the present. And also, if you want those one-to-ones with myself and with BlockPro as well, and also legal advice, there's so much to CSC Plus, guys. Go check it out. Let's head back to your screen, BlockPro.
Yes.
I believe we were on the Bitcoin chart, perhaps.
Yeah, correct. So, what we will do for next week, we're going to talk about backtest. Of course, we'll leave a bit of magic dust out of the story. For that, you need to join Crypto Saving Expert.
Leave a little bit.
But already with this, you can go such a long way. Like, honestly, I think what would be actually cool is to close off with Bitcoin.
Let's do it.
Because, mate, tomorrow is the election day.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I should be excited or I should be scared right now, but either way, I think it's gonna make for an interesting conversation. I think everyone's going to be popping off in the Discord. Either way, there's going to be lots of people that make money. There's going to be some people that lose money. It's going to be a fun one.
So, do you have a price prediction in mind, mate? Or?
Do you know what? Until now, I haven't thought of these. I think. I've been listening to a few different opinions. Some people think, if Trump comes in, we're going to see an initial pump and then we're going to see downside again, probably back towards kind of those 60,000 levels. If Kamala comes in, it will be no pump, straight down to those 62,000 levels. Personally, I think Trump's likely to get into power. I think Trump will be claiming that he's won before he's even won as well. And I think we're going to see an initial pump, may even go as high up to those kind of $80,000 levels. And then I think we're going to see a dump from there. And then perhaps the rest of November, I'm not too sure about. What's your opinion there?
Well, my doomsday scenario. Start with that one.
Oh no! Have to start with the doomsday scenario.
like I always say, guys, if you want to talk hopes and dreams, book a call with Ross. If you want to speak pretty much bear market and doom prices, book a call with me. So
and then you'll find yourself somewhere in the middle, hopefully.
Yeah. Then you end up at zero.
We've even got Jalapeno here saying, "What are we shorting?"
What are we shorting? So what we can actually do is we had that test from pretty much from last week on pretty much the all-time highs got touched again. And what we have seen pretty much this entire cycle long, or at least like in the last 240 days by now, the enormous range where we're just stuck in while we're broken out of it, is that we get pretty much 20% pullbacks. So, I messed it up right there. Let me reset the chart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ignore this part of the wick, and I'm going to look at pretty much only the candle closure. Again, I don't really care if it pulls back with 20%. Lovely short. If it goes up with 20%, I'm also fine with it. I don't hold any.
Just
I don't care. So from here, I'm going to say we're going to take this top part where actually we have the body closure. So we're going to take it to the downside. And then when we get to a 20% pullback, we're talking about 57.9. So let's say 58. That's pretty much worst case scenario, no matter what happens. The fun thing is also, but that's my opinion, it's not retail that goes like, oh, but Kamala won and now the price is dumping. then it's just easy to say, like, oh, Kamala won, so she's bad for the economy. And as Trump wins and the price dumps, it was priced in. So the only thing that I can tell you for sure is market makers are having a laugh right now. Gold is at the same price, Bitcoin is at the same price.
Yeah.
So I would say worst case scenario is a 20% pullback. Well, we also have some pretty interesting ranges. So our following level where likely support is to be held is at $65,395. Well, after that, it's pretty simple. We're looking at $60,987. Well, inside that range, we also have some backtest laying around. So in this case, let me put this on the screen. So 67 is one of those, also right here against the level line. So I would trade this more on the entry from the level, depending, of course, what the momentum will be. Then we're talking about that 65.7 again. Got also more on the downside, and these are just gaps that needs to be filled pretty much. So from here, 63.8. We have here a nice start of an impulse before continuation of an uptrend, so that needs to be retested. 62. And then, of course, mid doomsday scenario.
Just mid doomsday.
Yeah, that's 59.6.
Yeah.
So what I see now is a potential for the downside. And the reason why I don't really see a potential for the upside is the price action has not been there. So if we look from here, what is pretty much best case scenario for Bitcoin right now? That is $72,336. What happens after that? I don't know. I don't care, because as soon as this breaks out above it, I don't trade it anymore. I will look for something else to trade.
Yeah.
It needs to make that market structure again. So looking at the basics, I'm expecting this. Something like this. And what do we have open on the lower side? Well, this entire range has been... Oh, that's not correct. Let me remove that. This entire range of the impulse has been tested. So we're going to look at pretty much at this right here. So we have two opportunities, and every day I open the chart and go like, yep, we're picking that direction today. So I don't really see strength. Technically speaking, this is a downtrend.
So you think we're struggle at 72,300, perhaps that's that level to watch out for?
Yes. The thing is, what you often see, especially also was a pretty interesting discussion today with one of my students, and he actually said president, here, president election projection. I believe it was this one. Let me check if it was actually this one. No, that's the wrong one. And it's pretty much, oh yeah, here, this one was it. Cool. So it is pretty much this chart. I will move to an empty Bitcoin chart.
Okay.
Let me go towards this one. Yeah. And the fun thing is, I don't really look at historical data that much, but there are people that actually do. And you can see now the election year when it started and the inauguration. Well, one of the first things when I see this, let me put it on a weekly, is like, we have, of course, the elections every 4 years. And how do we know that the market makers are taking a piss out of this? Is pretty much when we say Bitcoin halving events.
Yeah, I was going to say it almost is every 4 years. Yeah, same.
So yeah, what I suggest, if you want to have a decent price prediction based on fundamentals and news, by the way, we don't trade the news, we trade what we see. But if you are an investor, this might be somewhat of importance. Look at election day, look at what the price has done historically, look at the inauguration day, look at that reacted. But also, I think what is way more important, look at the data of the halvings, because that election is just market makery. no retailer is going to give a shit about this. It's just market makers that have way too much money and go simultaneously buy. So that's pretty much it.
Brilliant.
I hope for all the investors that it will moon all the way up to 100K. And at 100K, I will be ready with my big red button to say short.
That's another question, BlockPro. Using market structure, what is it like when there's new price discovery? Is it harder to trade?
I don't trade in price discovery.
Yeah.
Unless I have a runner, then I will stick to that position. But the market structure is just important. And as soon as something goes into price discovery, you cannot really, you don't know where the liquidity is. So you're just it's just
blind.
like running around with a machine gun with your hand.
That's what some of us enjoy sometimes.
That's true. It's good degen trading. So but no, for me, I don't look at it and go like, well, this is, I don't long tops pretty much.
Understood. But guys, we're going to wrap up here for today. BlockPro, thank you so much, guys. Make sure to slap a like on this. As we mentioned before, if you want one-to-one tuition, or even if you just want to join the community, head over to CSC Plus, become a member there. You'll be able to see trading setups from traders like BlockPro and many other traders. That Martini guy as well. You can see, I'll just pull onto that Martini guy's channel within Crypto Saving Expert here as well. There's weekly AMAs, lots and lots, guys. We're going to be going live again, me and BlockPro, next Monday. So we will see you there, guys. But thanks for all joining. Make sure to slap a like on this, and we will see you soon. Take care, guys. Bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Woo.